In the previous spoiler, it was mentioned that, just as the Sky Wolf Master was about to strike down King Blade River, Primal Chaos City leader arrived in time. With the power of his arcana, he effortlessly suppressed Sky Wolf Master and successfully brought Luo Feng out of the Dark Splendor secret region, returning him to the Virtual Universe Company headquarters. Once Primal Chaos City leader was back, the Thousand Treasures River also returned to the void space, continuing its duty of guarding this crucial territory of the human clan. Noticing Luo Feng staring at the Thousand Treasures River in fascination, Primal Chaos City leader teased that with Luo Feng's luck, he might one day obtain an arcana on par with it. Little did he know that Sitting Mountain Guest had already prepared 2 arcana for Luo Feng, both no weaker than the Thousand Treasures River, especially the Star Tower, whose power surpasses it by countless folds. After returning, Primal Chaos City leader openly told Luo Feng that King Jinyan was also cultivating the Beast God path. He then allowed Luo Feng to decide for himself whether to gift the Beast God inheritance token to King Jinyan, or keep it for himself and, when the time was right, exchange it within the clan for another token better suited to his own cultivation. After all, although the inheritance token Luo Feng exchanged from Sky Wolf was useless to him, it was a perfect match for King Jinyan's cultivation path. In fact, Primal Chaos City leader's approach was also a subtle test to see whether Luo Feng was someone who valued loyalty and righteousness. In the vast universe, countless geniuses and even mighty powerhouses often place their own interests above the well-being of their clan. After all, once Luo Feng gives the inheritance token away, even with his talent, obtaining one suited for himself would, by convention, only be possible after he breaks through to the immortal level. However, Luo Feng didn't care at all about these gains and losses. Without the slightest hesitation, he decided to give this inheritance opportunity to King Jinyan. This decision made Primal Chaos City leader both relieved and satisfied. Not long after, under the arrangement of Primal Chaos City leader, the Beast God inheritance token was officially delivered to King Jinyan. At first, King Jinyan thought the clan had finally approved the application he had repeatedly submitted over the years, and he was so overwhelmed that he nearly burst into tears. After all, he had been stuck at the Invincible King Immortal level for far too long. However, upon learning that this precious opportunity actually came from Luo Feng, a flood of emotions surged within him. Besides being deeply moved, he was also overwhelmed with unease and guilt. After all, the Beast God path is an unparalleled chance for any cultivator of the fusion laws, not to be missed. He worried that he had taken the opportunity away from Luo Feng and even feared that Luo Feng's decision was made on impulse, driven by emotion. Immediately, King Jinyan contacted Luo Feng, hoping to stop the matter. To prevent King Jinyan from wavering in his Dao heart due to psychological pressure, Luo Feng told him that Primal Chaos City leader had already applied to the clan on his behalf for a Beast God inheritance token suited to his cultivation path, and he lied that with his talent, the approval was guaranteed. Only then did King Jinyan accept Luo Feng's goodwill with peace of mind. However, in fact, even Primal Chaos City leader was not fully confident he could push this matter through. Still, for Luo Feng, even if the application was rejected for now, as long as he broke through to Immortal, the clan would definitely grant him a suitable inheritance token. The only difference would be a matter of time. But King Jinyan's situation was completely different. Although he possessed Invincible King Immortal level strength and ranked among the top 5 human King Immortal, most of his strength came from countless years of accumulation, as well as the enormous price his race paid to enhance his life gene level. His true cultivation talent, however, was at least 100 times inferior to Luo Feng's. With his aptitude, it was impossible for him to ever receive a Beast God inheritance token proactively granted by the human clan. It must be understood that once a cultivator carrying an inheritance token enters the place of inheritance, and the inheritance activates, the Beast God inheritance token binds itself to the inheritor's life. Not only can it no longer be transferred, but if the inheritor perishes, the inheritance token will also shatter and become void. Therefore, all major races strictly control these Beast God inheritance tokens. Unless a prodigy with unmatched talent appears within the race, they would never bestow one lightly. Luo Feng, regarded as a once in hundreds of billions of years unparalleled genius, was destined to receive an inheritance token from the human clan sooner or later. However, many inheritances that seem highly coveted, especially the envoy inheritance, actually hide an enormous drawback. Even if one cultivates it to perfection and even inherits the position of the sole envoy of a particular element, due to restrictions imposed by its secret technique, one's final achievement can only reach the peak of Invincible King Immortal, comparable to the weakest universe Venerable, and advancement will be completely halted thereafter. In contrast, although the Divine General inheritance and Beast God inheritance also cannot break through the limit of their respective levels even when cultivated to the extreme. As long as the inheritor does not actually assume the position tied to the inheritance, they can continue cultivating and continue becoming stronger. Even so, many Divine General candidates still yearn to inherit the position. After all, for them, breaking through to Universe Master is far too distant, something they may never achieve in their lifetime. But if they can fuse the sacred item and become an incumbent Divine General, achieving the peak of Universe Overlord level and possessing power comparable to a lower-tier Universe Master, which is enough to survive even before an ordinary Universe Master, that remains a massive temptation. Therefore, these inheritances remain extremely precious to any race. In fact, with Luo Feng's strength already surpassing that of ordinary Limit King Immortal level immortals, he had long possessed the qualifications to receive an inheritance. At the same time, Primal Chaos City leader judged that the Sky Wolf Master would inevitably reveal to the public that King Blade River is actually only a world master, and would even fan the flames, letting the news rapidly spread among various powers in hopes of borrowing outside forces to jointly kill Luo Feng. As expected, within just a single day, the news had already reached the higher-ups of every clan across the universe. In less than a month, even groups that were not part of the high leadership, as long as they held some influence, such as Su Xian and Luo Peng, had also learned of it. As the rumor spread, they began to suspect that King Blade River was in fact Luo Feng. After all, among contemporary world masters capable of attaining such a level of law comprehension, there was no second person besides Luo Feng. Moreover, according to the natural pattern of universe evolution, the birth of two human super geniuses of the same era was almost impossible. Meanwhile, the fact that a world master was able to unleash an immortal level aura was nothing short of announcing to all powerhouses that King Blade River must possess an arcana. This alone stirred murderous intent within countless hostile powerhouses. Yet Luo Feng felt no fear. Even knowing he was about to stand on the razor's edge, he instead saw it as the very grindstone that would sharpen and elevate himself. After discussions among the human clan's upper echelon, Luo Feng was indeed granted a Beast God inheritance token. The more dazzling Luo Feng became, the more the human clan would strive to protect and cultivate him, and the more hostile clans would seek to destroy him during his growth. Therefore, allowing Luo Feng to enter the ancestral god sect's place of inheritance, gaining both protection and a chance to elevate his strength, became the most suitable arrangement. After all, the ancestral god sect, as the universe's foremost power, controlled immensely precious inheritances, placing it in an almost untouchable position. No race would dare act rashly, lest provoking the ancestral god sect cause the entire group to lose their eligibility for inheritance. Taking such a risk just to eliminate Luo Feng alone was clearly far too costly, and no one would be willing to bear it. Once all preparations were complete, Luo Feng first had one of his slaves use Divine Kingdom teleportation, instantly cutting over 90% of the journey. He then boarded King Jinyan's evolvable metallic life spaceship, traveling toward the so-called universe's most perilous secret region, the ancestral god secret region, at over 90 times the speed of light. It is worth mentioning that most spaceships in the universe are lifeless objects, dependent entirely on intelligence systems for operation. However, certain rare metallic lifeforms can merge with a spaceship, endowing it with living characteristics. By consuming metal or specific raw materials, the ship can continuously evolve, steadily enhancing all its capabilities. Even with Divine Kingdom teleportation shortening most of the journey, the remaining distance still required several months of travel through the dark universe for the spaceship to reach its destination. Therefore, King Jinyan and Luo Feng each remained in their respective resting chambers, meditating and cultivating. Since obtaining the third metal plate, over half the stages of the 9 Calamities secret tome had been completed, allowing Luo Feng to directly advance to the 5th stage. However, Luo Feng's human body was trapped in the ice prison and did not carry the life core, making it impossible to cultivate the 9 Calamities secret tome. It should be noted that during the cultivation of the 9 Calamities secret tome, even the slightest mistake would cause the clone to perish on the spot. As a result, all treasures on the human body had to remain behind in the ice prison. In contrast, the golden horned beast, carrying the life core far from the ice prison, could freely cultivate the 9 Calamities secret tome without any concerns. Although Luo Feng had spent a great deal of time in the ice prison creating secret techniques, over the course of more than 2,000 years, the golden horned beast still had ample time to complete up to the 5th stage, raising its life gene level to 480 times that of an ordinary human. This already surpassed many special life forms. Even without any enhancement secret techniques or external aid, the golden horned beast's base strength had reached the level of a high-tier immortal army lord. This was the natural advantage conferred by higher life gene level. Now, Luo Feng's human body finally had the opportunity to focus entirely on cultivating the 9 Calamities secret tome. Several months later, King Jinyan and Luo Feng finally arrived at the universe coordinates indicated by the Beast God Inheritance token. Yet, at a glance, the surroundings revealed nothing but hazards capable of threatening or even annihilating a universe venerable. There was no visible inheritance site or entrance. At that moment, they were suddenly pulled into a spatial teleportation channel without any means of resistance, and were transported to a mysterious location. Immediately after, a powerful being emanating a suffocating aura appeared, instantly suppressing both King Jinyan and Luo Feng, and demanding they present the Beast God Inheritance token. This individual was one of the divine generals in the Ancestor God sect responsible for guiding newcomers. Anyone caught intruding without the inheritance token would be executed without mercy. This was why King Jinyan and Luo Feng had not brought the virtual universe company's guards with them. Naturally, the soul slaves were no exception, unless they remained within the independent activity range of their respective inheritors. It is worth mentioning that although the Ancestral God sect has many candidates who have completed the Divine General Inheritance and whose strength reaches the level of a universe overlord, there are truly only 72 Divine General level powerhouses. The reason is that only by fusing with the corresponding sacred artifact of the sect can a candidate leap to become a true Divine General, whose strength can rival even the weakest universe master. Because of this, they are extremely fearsome beings in the universe, far beyond what King Jinyan or Luo Feng could hope to contend with. Of course, even dozens of divine generals alone are not enough to make the Ancestral God sect a terror across all races in the universe. Its greatest deterrent comes from the sect's Xeon Arcana, the 5-color Aurora Lake, a true god-level weapon coveted by every race. Under the full control of the 3 ancestral gods, who serve as representatives of the universe's original will, the power unleashed by the 5-color Aurora Lake can even reach the limit of the original universe's power, enough to suppress a true god. Its terrifying might is obvious, making it a forbidden zone even universe masters dare not easily approach. Naturally, the 5-color Aurora Lake still cannot compare to the Star Tower, as the two are simply not on the same level. After King Jinyan and Luo Feng presented the Beast God Inheritance token, the Divine General Venerable immediately appeared much more approachable, leading them gently into the core area of the Ancestral God sect. However, seeing that the inheritance site lay within the coverage of the 5-color Aurora Lake, King Jinyan could not help but remain cautious. After all, even the light emitted by an ordinary true divine artifact would be enough to obliterate a universe venerable, let alone for him and Luo Feng. King Jinyan first conducted a careful inspection, and only after confirming safety did he gesture for Luo Feng to enter alongside him. His protective concern for Luo Feng was evident. Upon entering the inheritance's core area, both King Jinyan and Luo Feng were immediately captivated by the external manifestations of the universe's operating laws. Were it not for the timely admonishment of the Divine General Venerable, they might have completely lost themselves in it. This is the unique feature of the Ancestral God's secret region. If the ancestral gods were not representatives of the universe's original will, the Ancestral God sect could never have earned the original universe's favor, allowing all the laws to manifest externally. It should be noted that such phenomena do not occur in other regions or even in universe secret regions. Even in a miniature universe of a true god, unless it is like the ancestor Yuan, who was suppressed and halted during its evolutionary process, cultivators in the primal chaos city cannot use the external manifestations of laws to comprehend the original laws of the universe. Under the guidance of the Divine General Venerable, King Jinyan and Luo Feng arrived at a massive island within the 5-color Aurora Lake, home to over 100 million inheritors. The Divine General Venerable explained to them various details about the Ancestral God sect and the distribution of its members. Once they had absorbed the relevant information, the Venerable departed, leaving King Jinyan and Luo Feng outside a grand palace on the island, awaiting an audience with the island's master. After more than 10 days of waiting, the island master finally appeared and summoned them, granting 4 important permissions related to the inheritance. He then instructed them to construct their own residences within the areas previously designated by the Divine General Venerable, constrained only by the size limits of each plot. It is worth mentioning that only a World Master cultivator has the ability to condense a small world, a feat impossible for cultivators of other levels. As a result, while King Jinyan painstakingly built his palace step by step, Luo Feng effortlessly shaped a uniquely styled villa using the power of world condensation. Seeing how exquisite Luo Feng's villa was, King Jinyan even asked him to construct one for himself. Once everything was settled, the two proceeded to the designated teleportation channel and headed toward the inheritance site. The moment they stepped into the inheritance space, a terrifying pressure that seemed to shake even their souls suddenly descended upon them. This is precisely why only those above the King Immortal level are eligible for the inheritance. Had it not been for Luo Feng's willpower, which far surpassed that of many universe venerables, he might have perished on the spot. Then, under the instructions of a werewolf venerable, King Jinyan and Luo Feng officially began receiving the inheritance. Regardless of whether it was King Jinyan, Luo Feng, or any other inheritor, while fully conscious but unable to control their bodies, they would first demonstrate their current level of mastery in the fusion laws. Once their level of comprehension was confirmed, an invisible force would guide the inheritor to continue the demonstration, completing the fusion of laws' secret scripts for that level. Only after the full demonstration was finished would the inheritance state be lifted. In fact, the Beast God inheritance is divided into 7 levels. In each level, the mysterious force begins at the most basic stage, guiding the inheritor to fully comprehend and internalize their current level. Only after complete understanding will the next level of fusion laws be unlocked. During the process, the mysterious force demonstrates only once. Whether the inheritor can remember or comprehend it depends entirely on their own aptitude, with no relation to memory. This mysterious and irresistible force is none other than the will of the original universe itself. Because the Beast God inheritance is directly guided by the original universe's will, as long as the inheritor has decent aptitude, its assistance in comprehending the laws is millions of times more effective than the Chaos Steel. However, each inheritance opportunity is extremely precious. Except for the first free inheritance when entering a new level, subsequent opportunities must be earned through the inheritor's own effort, similar in comprehending the Chaos Steel. So, what trials will Luo Feng face in this inheritance region? Will he be as fortunate as King Seven Swords and obtain a heavy-grade treasure? Stay tuned for the next spoiler, where I will reveal it all. But before that, here's a sneak peek. It should be noted that the ancestral God secret region is the universe's most densely populated secret region for special life forms. Yes, special life forms. This means that in this entirely new adventure chapter, Luo Feng will have his third clone. The animation team even released its initial concept art during the 5th anniversary celebration. At first glance, it immediately gives a strong impression. It is truly exciting. What do you think? Well, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching this video. Wish you a wonderful day.